5 C0 teams for Kaveh. Let's get straight into it. Kaveh's burst gives a damage bonus to Dendro cores, as does Nalu, so they can be stacked together to drive your bloom damage as high as possible. I can see this being one of his most popular teams. I recommend fully building him for elemental mastery, with however much energy recharge you need to consistently proc his burst. If you have multiple Favonius weapons in the team, you should be good with around 160 to 180 energy recharge, which you'll probably get from your substats alone. The mailed flower event weapon works well on him, because with its passive you'll get more elemental mastery from it than any other claymore in the game. If you don't have it, the 3-star blood tainted greatsword is a good option. You don't need attack on this elemental mastery build, so the low base attack doesn't matter. For the healer, you can go with Baiju for higher bloom damage, or if you don't have him, you can go with Yao Yao for better AoE dendro application. There are different ways you can build Kaveh here. The first option is to drive his damage as high as possible, with Flower of Paradise Lost or Gilded. The second option is to go for utility like Deepwood or Instructor. I'd definitely stick a utility set on Baiju or Yao Yao depending on who you have in the team. Then you can choose between utility or damage on Kaveh. There are some high burst costs in this team, so I put C0, Yao Yao and Baiju on Fav weapons. If you're willing to trade comfort for damage, you can go with this team. Nahid is holding the Magic Guide and 4-piece Deepwood, with the other characters on the same builds as above. I didn't specify earlier, but Nalu has a 2-piece build of the HP sets. For a weapon, if you don't have a Piss Sword, you could go with energy recharge so you can use a burst more often for iframes. While this team doesn't have a dedicated healer, Kaveh does heal himself a little when he takes damage from Dendro core explosions. He also gets a little bit of protection and healing from C0. I personally prefer the first team for the Abyss, and this team for the Overworld, because if teammates lose HP in the Abyss, you can't heal them. If you skip Nalu because you felt she's too niche, this team could be the one for you. It has better single target damage than Nalu teams, but it still has AoE from Nahida and the range of the Dendro core explosions. The Hydro Resonance gives HP to buff your land's damage as well as C0's healing, which slightly makes up for not having a dedicated healer. I found that because of the Hydro Resonance, this team was slightly comfier than the previous one. I got the Favonius weapons out again with both C0 and Yolan holding them, because like the other teams, this one also has some high burst costs. If you pulled Baiju, I have a video on my channel with 12 teams for him, and I'll be uploading the C6 Kaveh showcase. If you're interested in seeing them, then subscribe to the channel. Seeing as though all the teams so far have been reliant on 5 stars, let's look at a couple teams that don't have any. While bloom teams are his niche, he can be used in different reaction teams if you don't have another Dendro driver. You just have to come to terms with the fact he's not going to be as good as the others like Nahida and Alhaitham. With Kaveh not triggering the blooms in hyper bloom teams, you don't need to worry about elemental mastery on him. You can just build him on a normal DPS build with attack and crit substats. It's not the most glamorous set, but with you probably having better substats on it by now, 4-piece Gladiator works on him. Just make sure you stack as much elemental mastery as possible on Cookie. It's quite a free to play friendly team with us getting Dendro MC for free, C0 for free from Paimon's Bargains and Lantern Rite, Cookie functions well at C0, and Kaveh does too. This last team is similar to the previous one. Burgeon's not his niche, but it's such a strong reaction, it still deals a lot of damage. You can run Kaveh with the same DPS build as the previous team, and with this team being energy hungry, I put Favonius weapons on Yao Yao and C0. Yao Yao's holding 4-piece Deepwood, C0's on 4-piece Emblem, and Tome is on 4-piece Gilded with a Dragon's Bane. At C0, I'd give Kaveh a 6 out of 10. He gives you more damage in your bloom team if you're willing to trade a bit of comfort. The only downside is that the extra damage is hardly anything, and the comfort you lose is a lot. He also gives you a driver in Hyper Bloom and Burgeon teams if you don't have one. The downside here is that with there already being so many strong options, it's likely you already have one if you've been playing the game since 3.0 or before. I put out a video that had 12 Baiju teams earlier, and I'll be putting out a C6 Kaveh showcase later, so if you want to see those, subscribe to the channel and take it easy.